In an age of red-eye flights and video calls, North Korea's Kim Jong Un still relies on a method straight out of the Cold War, a 20-hour, 800-mile rail journey to Beijing aboard a rolling fortress. His choice of transport is as deliberate as the summit that awaits him. Kim arrived in China's capital on Tuesday, September 2nd, to join China's Xi Jinping, Russia's Vladimir Putin, and Iran's Masoud Pezeshkian for ceremonies marking the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II. It is the first time these four leaders have convened, and Kim's debut at a major international gathering since he took power 14 years ago. The guest list alone signals a united front among nations eager to challenge a U.S.-led world order. To get there, Kim upheld a family tradition. Both his father, Kim Jong-il, and grandfather, Kim Il-sung, famously crisscrossed the map in private armored trains. While the elder Kim allegedly feared flying, the practice continues for a simpler reason: near absolute security. Officially called Taeyong-ho, or Sun, the train is better known by its nickname, the Moving Fortress. Each car is armored, its windows bulletproof, its floors and walls reinforced. Extra plating makes the entire convoy so heavy it crawls along at roughly 37 miles an hour, a fraction of modern rail speeds, but fast enough for the purpose: protection. Onboard defenses reportedly include anti-aircraft weapons and surface-to-air missiles. Safety does not end with thick steel. The leader's train is usually part of a three-train convoy. First comes an advance train to inspect the tracks. The second carries Kim and his inner circle. A third follows with additional guards, equipment, and supplies. By the time the main carriage glides into a station, every inch of rail has been checked, every vantage point secured. Inside, however, the atmosphere is anything but austere. State media footage shows plush conference rooms, gleaming bedrooms, and communication suites complete with satellite phones, allowing Kim to govern and receive intelligence in real time. Past accounts from officials who traveled with his father describe lavish banquets featuring fresh lobster, prime cuts of meat, and French Bordeaux. Photographs reveal pink leather couches, zebra-patterned chairs, and even a carriage designed to transport armored Mercedes sedans for secure ground travel at the destination. Yet the pageantry of the train pales beside the symbolism of this visit. By arriving in Beijing alongside Xi, Putin, and Pezeshkian, Kim places himself squarely within a bloc often dubbed an axis of upheaval. The timing is critical. Russia remains locked in a grinding war in Ukraine, and U.S.-China tensions on trade and technology are entrenched. For Xi, the parade that accompanies the anniversary offers a global stage to display hypersonic missiles and nuclear-capable rockets. Proof, in his view, that China can lead an alternative to Western dominance. Standing shoulder to shoulder with Putin and Kim underscores that message. For Kim, the journey carries equal weight. It is his first trip to China since 2019, a chance to reaffirm ties with his two most important patrons and to broadcast that North Korea is not isolated, but embedded in an emerging power alignment. After years of pandemic-era border closures and stalled nuclear talks, the slow train to Beijing serves as both a literal and figurative reopening to the wider world on his own terms. The train itself encapsulates the Kim dynasty's core priorities: unyielding security, tight control, and an image of power that travels with the leader wherever he goes. Its deliberate pace ensures safety. Its luxury assures status. Its arrival, side by side with fellow challengers to the status quo, sends a signal heard far beyond the station platform. In the end, the slow train from North Korea is more than a quirky travel choice. It is a moving declaration of intent, steel-plated, meticulously guarded, and impossible to ignore.
The nation's top public health agency, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, is in a state of turmoil. Its new director, Dr. Susan Monares, was fired after less than a month, sparking a wave of resignations from senior scientists. Now, a new acting director is in place, Jim O'Neill, and he faces immediate, high-stakes decisions about the country's vaccine policies. The crisis began with the firing of Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Director Dr. Susan Monares, an infectious disease expert who was confirmed by the Senate in July 2025. According to her lawyers, she was removed after refusing to rubber stamp unscientific, reckless directives from the Trump administration. The core of the dispute was her refusal to commit to approving changes to United States vaccine policy without first consulting her scientific advisors. A White House spokesperson stated Monares was terminated because she was not aligned with the president's agenda of making America healthy again. Her legal team is contesting the firing, arguing that as a Senate-confirmed appointee, only the president can legally remove her. Dr. Monares' ousting triggered the protest resignations of at least 4 other high-level officials: Dr. Deborah Howry, the chief medical officer; Dr. Dimitri Daskalakis, the director of the National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Diseases; Dr. Daniel Jernigan, who led the National Center for Emerging and Zoonotic Infectious Diseases; and Dr. Jennifer Layden, director of the Office of Public Health Data, Surveillance, and Technology. In their resignation letters, they cited political meddling that undermines science, an unscientific vaccine recommendation process, and the weaponization of public health. Hundreds of Centers for Disease Control and Prevention staff held a clap-out to show support for the departing scientists who warned that the new policies could cause harm. Into this leadership vacuum steps Jim O'Neill, the new acting director. O'Neill is not a doctor or a scientist. He is a former biotech investor and a longtime associate of tech billionaire Peter Thiel, with a history in the George W. Bush administration's health department. His appointment is seen as a move to align the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention with the agenda of Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy, Jr., a well-known vaccine skeptic. O'Neill himself has a history of criticizing health regulations. In 2014, he argued that drugs should only need to be proven safe, not effective, before being approved for public use. During the COVID-19 pandemic, he publicly supported unproven treatments. During his confirmation hearing for the Deputy Health and Human Services Secretary role, O'Neill stated, "I support the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's recommendations for vaccines," but he also defended Secretary Kennedy from criticism. The immediate challenge for O'Neill is a critical meeting on September 18th of the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices. This is the expert panel that provides the scientific recommendations for all vaccine use in the United States. Secretary Kennedy has already reshaped this panel, replacing all 17 members with his own appointees, a move that has drawn criticism from scientists and medical groups. On the agenda for this upcoming meeting are reviews of long-established childhood immunizations for diseases like measles and hepatitis, as well as updated COVID-19 vaccine recommendations. The administration has already restricted the new 2025 to 2026 COVID-19 vaccine to only high-risk groups, a significant change that has created confusion for patients and pharmacies. Dr. Monares was fired for refusing to pre-commit to signing off on whatever this new panel recommends. The decision to approve their findings will now fall to O'Neill. The stakes are incredibly high. Departing CDC officials and public health experts warn that political interference could undermine decades of progress against preventable diseases. The turmoil is also eroding public trust in the CDC, an agency whose authority depends on its scientific independence. The situation has drawn rare bipartisan concern, with Republican Senator Bill Cassidy, who chairs the Senate Health Committee, calling for the upcoming vaccine advisory meeting to be postponed, stating any recommendations from it would lack legitimacy. The crisis at the CDC not only impacts domestic health, but also poses a global risk, as the agency's ability to track and contain international outbreaks could be severely hampered.
In Beijing, Gazprom and China National Petroleum Corporation have signed a legally binding memorandum to build the Power of Siberia 2 pipeline, an agreement announced during the latest meeting between Presidents Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping. What makes this project so consequential is its scale. Power of Siberia 2 is designed to carry 50 billion cubic meters of natural gas each year from the Yamal Peninsula in western Siberia, across Mongolia, and into northern China under a 30-year contract. Gazprom chief Alexei Miller has called it the largest, most ambitious, and most capital-intensive gas project in the world. For Russia, the pipeline is the centerpiece of a strategic pivot to Asia after sanctions and war all but shrank its once lucrative European gas market. Replacing even part of those lost sales is critical for Moscow's budget, and China, now the world's biggest energy consumer, offers that lifeline. At the same time, the deal ties Russia ever more tightly to a single customer, a dependency some analysts describe as vassal-like. For China, for its part, gains a steady overland supply of cleaner-burning fuel, reducing its reliance on seaborne liquefied natural gas from suppliers such as the United States and Australia. That diversification improves Beijing's energy security while helping it transition away from coal. Yet, despite the fanfare on the Russian side, Chinese state media initially downplayed the announcement. The reason is money. Negotiations have dragged on for years because the two sides cannot agree on price. With Russia eager to secure a market and limited alternatives, Beijing has leverage to demand rates close to Russia's own subsidized domestic prices. Until those numbers are set, the memorandum remains a promise rather than a purchase order. The ripple effects extend far beyond the two capitals. If China locks in 50 billion cubic meters annually from Power of Siberia 2, on top of existing flows through the first Power of Siberia line and the Far Eastern route, her demand for liquefied natural gas could fall markedly. That would loosen global LNG markets, potentially lowering prices for buyers in Europe and Asia, but squeezing major exporters. Then there is Mongolia, whose territory the pipeline must cross. A parallel project there, called Soyuz Vostok, could deliver lucrative transit fees and construction jobs. But hosting vital energy infrastructure between two geopolitical heavyweights also places Ulaanbaatar in a delicate position, balancing economic gains against strategic risk. Complementing the new line, Russia and China have also agreed to boost volumes through existing routes. Taken together, Russian pipeline exports to China could eventually surpass 100 billion cubic meters a year, roughly what Russia used to ship to the European Union before the invasion of Ukraine. Still, everything hinges on the gas price. The memorandum signals political will, but without a mutually acceptable tariff, spades will not hit the ground. Moscow needs revenue. Beijing wants bargains. The outcome will reveal whether Russia can secure terms that keep its treasury afloat, or whether lower prices will deepen its dependence on its increasingly dominant Asian partner. For now, the Power of Siberia 2 remains both a symbol and a swing factor.
a symbol of a changing world order in which Moscow looks eastward and Beijing tightens its grip on critical resources, and a potential swing factor for future energy flows, gas prices, and the broader economics of the clean energy transition.